Good morning, everyone. No hoverboard for me, but hopefully I won't disappoint. Artificial intelligence seems to be a bit of a theme at the moment. So, I work for Palo Alto Networks. We are a cybersecurity company, very proud of what we do. We've actually been embracing machine learning and artificial intelligence, as they now call it, for about 14 years, something like that. So we've got a lot of heritage there. As a company, we believe in innovation. So everything that we do is really centered around innovation. So much so, I think we spend about $1 billion a year just on research and development and innovation within the company. So this morning, I'm going to talk to you about harnessing AI to improve cyber resilience. And I'm sure that you're all cyber professionals and you've got your views on both topics, cyber resilience and also AI. But here goes. Look, I'm going to try and answer 3 questions for today. That is, why do organizations struggle to improve cyber resilience? That's number 1. How can harnessing AI actually improve cyber resilience? And then just some examples, some practical examples of where it's being seen within solutions for organizations today. So defining cyber resilience. So there are 3 main things that we look at when we're talking about cyber resilience. First of all, managing business risks. If you look at today's business landscape, organizations and everyone in this room is very much challenged with the attack surface getting out of control. The attack vectors on organizations just keep increasing. So how are you going to improve that situation? How are you going to get your arms around it? That also includes things like supply chain. I think I had a couple of conversations yesterday with individuals around supply chain and how do you tighten up security posture with your suppliers. Then you look at the problem number 2, and that is measuring cyber security or measuring security and the operational efficiency of it and effectiveness and efficacy of the solutions that you put into your organizations. How do you measure whether or not you're dealing with both the knowns and also the unknowns? And how do you deal with, the employees as well, the human factor, right? There's many different things there. And then also responding to the threats. You actually start looking at the different types of attacks. So everything that you have available to you as an organization and as a business is also available to the bad guys, as I refer to them, the adversaries. So they have AI, they have machine learning, they have cloud, they have automation, they have everything you've got, but they just choose the time and the place when they decide to use it against you. Business risks, let's go there first. I'm sure none of this is a particular surprise to you. You've got workforce. Ever since COVID, I think the workforce has been scattered to the 4 corners, right? So you've got remote workers, you've got remote offices. How do you control that? The applications have now moved. They're no longer just sitting in a data center. They're now primarily in the cloud. Supply chain, third-party disruption. You've got to bring people into the business, remote access. How do you control that? There's also the mythical air-gapped network as well, which has OT devices on it that, there's always an exception to punch through your security posture to allow a third party to update that device, right? We shouldn't really be doing that. Regulatory compliance. That's ever changing, NIS2 and various other things that are coming down the line. You've got to understand that. And then data overload, just the sheer volume of data. I think Jason was talking about Moore's Law yesterday. I think that also applies to just data overload, just the volume of logs and alerts and stuff that are just coming at your SOC is just overwhelming. Marketing slide, sorry, $8 trillion. It's a number, it's a big number. In the world, it is now the largest industry in the world is actually the bad guys and extortion and just cybercrime in general. So that's that. So when you look at the business, I'm sure you've all got your own frameworks around how you approach cyber risk within your organisations. This is one that we've kind of put together. It's an amalgamation of many different frameworks, and basically you look at the different levels. So your security framework, you've got your strategy at the top level. That's probably a fairly easy one to put together. Then you've got organisational culture and things like that, and then eventually you get down into technology. Some people approach it from the other way. They buy a load of technology and then try and work out what the strategy is afterwards. But hey, so this is where the measures come in. How do you actually measure some of this? Because time and time again, I speak to many CISOs, CIOs on a regular basis, and we find that there are just gaps. Things have been partially implemented or not implemented at all. Some things are being measured, some things are not. Basic controls are not in place. There's a lot of things that are quite scary actually when you actually start thinking about it, and I'm sure most of you sort of break out into a cold sweat when you actually start thinking about it, from some of the things you've probably seen. So this is a real challenge, is around how do you measure the security of your organisation. So something that's also changed is responding to threats. If you look here, this is just a graphic on the time from compromise to the exfil or extraction of data from an organisation. 44 days in 2021, down to 5 days in 2023, and maybe even down to hours. If you think about that, so the average time to remediate is 6 days. These are stats that have been taken from various sources. If you think about that, that's pretty poor, isn't it? Pretty slow. We talk about organisations now. If you ever have me in, or one of the first questions is, so do you know what your MTTR is? And most people scratch their head and go, oh yeah, I don't know, it's in a few days. It's in a few days. It's kind of vague and fluffy. It's something that we need to think about, because the attackers are really starting to speed up their ability to get into organisations and extract valuable content from your organisation. So how are you going to do that? Because currently the structure and systems that we have in place just don't seem to be scaling up. So AI will only speed up the attacks. They are using various techniques. There's a couple of things that I've seen and heard of recently. One is, so think about this, ChatGPT. Beautiful, right? Everyone seems to use it. It's fantastic. So nowadays, for example, phishing. There's no longer Nigerian prince, right? Well, his spelling and his grammar has definitely improved in any language you want. So, AI has just improved the threat actors on how they can actually craft some sophisticated phishing emails. They make it very, very plausible. They just drop in a link or whatever, or an embedded photo or something where you're going to click on something and then you're going to be compromised. Now, what happens if they then add to that deep fake, right? And we've got an example in the Middle East. There was a bank which was attacked by an organisation. They sent in a very credible phishing email to a targeted individual that did financial transfers, and then they had done a deep fake on. It was only an audio one, but they'd done an audio deep fake on the CEO from interviews on YouTube. They didn't really need that much of his voice sample. They created that, and then using automation, as soon as the phishing email was sent, suddenly the person's phone rings and it's a deep fake call. I know you're really under a lot of pressure, but can you get that one done? Can you make the transfer now? This is, the CEO is really super important. The transfer was made, boom, done, right? So when you look at AI now, deep fake and things like that, it's quite embryonic. It's quite scary actually how good it is, but it's only embryonic. So that's where we're going to see those attacks improving as they go forward. So let's have a look at harnessing AI to actually improve cybersecurity. So AI is an umbrella term. I'll sort of move away from that now. There are basically two sides to AI. There's narrow intelligence, and then there's also superintelligence. Superintelligence is like the rise of the robots, Terminator and all that sort of stuff, right? That's not what we'll be talking about today when it comes to cybersecurity. So we'll be talking about ANI, which is artificial narrow intelligence. So this is where you're looking at a very rich data set, very large data set, but it's good quality, and you're going to make decisions based on that. Machine learning, this is where you can start adding in supervised learning, so you can actually guide the models around what you're going to do and how you're going to respond to it. You can have reinforced learning. Anybody that's read up on machine learning and AI, these are normal, regular terms. So we're going to be looking at supervised learning, and then you can have a look at some of the algorithms, decision trees, etc. And then eventually you'll get down to some technologies that can actually start using machine learning based on a large data set, a large, clean, quality data set. And that data set needs to be fairly rich for machine learning to actually be able to execute and come out with some half-decent conclusions on. And when you start thinking about cybersecurity needs really good efficacy. 50% accuracy is really not good enough. 75 is not good enough. 75 is probably about Gen AI, right? Generative AI, give you about 75%, maybe 80% if you're lucky. But when you actually start thinking about cybersecurity, you need 99.99, right? You need 4 nines, 5 nines accuracy around a conclusion. That's why we're onto this narrow intelligence. So AI adoption is no longer an emerging trend. I think for the last 18 months it's been hyped massively by the vendors. Sorry about that. But the reality is, in the adoption curve, AI is right at the top of that adoption curve now. So it's going to be coasting down, and it's going to be you're going to see it more and more embedded into more and more tools, applications that you're probably developing as well. It will become everywhere. At the Gartner event this year for the CIOs, they did a survey, and AI is again, funnily enough, on there. So it's a top priority. What is that? 2, 4, 6, 7. It's 7th down. So it's the 7th priority, for the CIOs on the Gartner survey. So, it's definitely increasing on the investment that organisations are putting forward into that. But how does it actually improve things for you and your organisations? I think there are two sides to it. Firstly, there's how do you actually help out on the security side? How do you block sophisticated attacks? The AI intelligence, machine learning will definitely assist with that. It will also definitely assist with volumetric type attacks, where you're seeing lots of attacks of a similar style pattern. That's really easy, right? Because the advantage it gives you, it doesn't sleep. It runs 24 hours a day, doesn't need holiday, doesn't get bored, right? And unfortunately, SOC analysts, I don't know if there's any in the room, but I'm sure a lot of them get very bored most days, right? They get overworked and they get bored. So this is going to really help them out. Real-time fraud mitigation, nothing that I particularly do or my organisation do, but you know, that is really cool. You know, some of the things that they can do around fraud mitigation is exceptional around AI, because it can pick the needle in the haystack out of a pattern, and it can find things for you. But also you look at what can it do from the business side of things on the cyber side. So predictive risk management, it's actually going to give you a much greater predictivity. I've just made that word up. It's going to give you, I can't even say the word now. Anyway, operational costs, that will definitely come down overall as you move forward. Consolidating with AI-driven security platforms is definitely something you need to think about and consider, because ultimately if you have old school technologies embedded with AI generation technologies, you're not going to get the full value out of the solutions that you would expect. So trying to consolidate down is definitely an avenue that you need to investigate. So let's have a look at some practical examples of AI. So the world is changing with AI. Lots of talk about the generative AI. So that's the cool stuff that all the kids use and most of us use. You know, I need a document, and you don't have to like stare at a blank piece of paper and it will give you a template or something. That's going to give you about 80% of what you actually need. That's looking at natural language. So it has a place in cyber, and I will come to that in a minute. Precision AI, which is the narrow AI or machine learning, that is what we as an organisation use to give you the best outcomes around security, efficacy and results on any attacks that you may see. So let's have a look. So this is a little bit about how we've actually implemented this. So on the AI side of things, we make everything cloud delivered. Why do we do that? Because the sheer volume of data and power compute that you need to deliver proper AI. Having on-prem data is okay, but it just doesn't scale to give you the huge data lakes that you need to give the outcomes that you really need. AI for us also is embedded across multiple different areas of technology. For example, this is just a firewall, right? Well, this is a firewall, I'm telling you it's a firewall. So a firewall, for example, we can do DLP now in the firewall, we can do SaaS security, IoT. IoT, we can learn about what devices are out in the network, we can then protect them, we can secure them. So there's a whole load of things that we can do around that. So just generally is just making the outcomes for the organisation a lot better. We can also look at things like ADEM. ADEM is Autonomous Digital Experience Monitoring. So you've got all those remote users, right? And you've got those remote sites. How often do the poor old help desk people get help desk tickets coming in saying, oh, I can't get into this app. This app's so rubbish. It's so slow, unresponsive. I'm going out to walk the dog because I can't work. ADEM, what that will do, it will monitor the user, the applications, it will monitor the network, every step, every hop, and it will make sure that it proactively flags back to operations when there's a potential problem coming up, and it will actually flip applications by user over to different circuits and things like that, just to give everyone that type of security around their actual service. So that's where AI is also coming in, trying to deflect situations from that becoming more serious within the business. You can also look at it from the SOC. So this is something that we've been working on for some time now. So we can now ingest threat intelligence from the network, from the endpoint, from the cloud, from third party. We can ingest all of those logs, all of those alerts, and then we can stitch them together using machine learning into a storybook. So we have a whole story of any session that's going on within an organisation, and if there is something bad going on, we can detect it, we can then investigate it, and then we can respond. Now, AI is like your co-pilot, right? So he's not the captain. So every now and again, that will need to be handed over to a human, right? Because machines can't do everything. And hence we've got the person sitting on the end there. That's the third line analyst within an organisation. They will do the deep dive and use their creative minds to work out, hey, this is really suspicious, but the machines can't work it out. What we've done as an organisation, we're a business as well. We're probably a high-value target, high-value scalp for hackers and malicious people. We've actually turned our SOC upside down. We now only have 8 people in there 5 days a week, 9 till 5. That's all we have. Everything else is done by automation. So that's how we've actually managed to do that. We've taken our response times from hours down to minutes. And the number of high-value alerts that we have to deal with in any given day is single digits because we just basically use automation, machine learning, just to funnel it down and respond to everything as quickly as we possibly can using, we've actually now productized it. So we actually developed it internally first, and now we've productized it, and now it's out in the market. And this is what it actually looks like. So on the left-hand side, you've got a whole load of feeds coming in from anything from Okta to Google Cloud to wherever. What we can actually do is we'll look at that and we'll ingest them all, and then we'll stitch them all together, because some of these attacks are very, very sophisticated. And you've got to be able to pick up all the anomalies wherever they may be, and then we'll actually end up with some outcomes. Many of them will be resolved by the solution itself. Co-pilots is where the generative AI comes in. So now we now have come up with these co-pilot concepts whereby the user, the operator, whatever you want to refer to them, the analyst, is using the tool, but every now and again, you know, they need a little bit of help, right? So they can actually type in natural language, like a chat GPT or something. They'll just type in, hey, I need some advice on how to deal with an incident looking like this. And it will come up with some answers, some recommendations, and it may even allow for collaboration with, like, Fred in the next office is also working on an incident very much like yours. You may want to go around and have a chat with them and have a look at how you're going to deal with that. So that's where generative AI has come in. I'll skip that one in the interest of time, because I'm being told I'm out of time. Just to give you an idea, 10 years plus, actually 14 years we've been doing machine learning, but 10 plus years of AI innovation. As I said, we're an innovation-led company. If you want to hear anything more about that, then please come and bend my ear outside or after this session. So just looking ahead, just have a think about AI, think like the bad guys, think about how wonderful it is for your business, how wonderful it would be for their business, and how they can leverage it. I'm going to skip this in the interest of time.